TitleMatchNetwork.com.
The early 80s just was when Vince Sr. Jr. had taken over and was just starting to build his empire and started to bring the good talent back into New York. The Samoans left and went back, and of course they hadn't been there. Paul Orndorff went. Then, oh gosh, I'm trying to think. There were a couple other guys that Bill had that left. Well, Ernie Ladd now was the booker for Bill. And he says, man, we need a heel bad. Be looking around for a good heel. You know, and the idea was kind of the salt and pepper team. You know, JYD was the black guy and Ted was the white guy, and we'd appeal to everybody, and we'd be tag team partners. And besides that, we were great friends. So I put on my thinking cap and I'm thinking, and I used to tease JYD. I'd say, man, I go out every night and I work my rear end off. I mean, I'm putting in 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes a night. And I said, you're making all the money. I said, they play your music and you shake your rear end and you go out in the ring and you bark and howl at the moon. I said, you have about a 5-minute match and you're making all the money, man. I said, that ain't right. So we got to do something about this. So, man, it just hit me. And I went and I knocked on Ernie Ladd's door at the Sheraton Hotel in Shreveport. And I said, I found your heel. And he said, who? I said, you're looking at him. Man, his eyes just got really big. It was like, it's been right in front of my face all this time and I never even thought of it. He said, that is a super idea. He said, nobody would ever suspect you. Nobody would ever think that you would turn on the dog. And I said, you like it that much? And he says, it's going to be great. So now after I gave him the idea, I started thinking, you know, I've never really been a heel. Then I started second guessing myself. Can I do this? But no. So the way they built this story was Watts did a deal where I supposedly broke my hand. And so I come out with a cast on, you know, for a couple of weeks, right. You know, TV. And then the cast comes off. And the first week that the cast is off, I've got the glove on my hand, right? And I go, well, the glove must be, you know, because he's getting over the broken arm, broken hand. Well, that was the first night that I wrestled. And I wrestled JYD on TV, and we had built this thing up to where, you know, there had to be a tournament to declare a new North American champion, you know. And we did these interviews, you know, and JYD's like, well, you know, Ted's my friend, but, you know, in the ring, your friendships cease, and and, you know, I cut a baby face interview, right. Said the same thing, you know, hate to wrestle my friend, but, you know, this is for money, it's for the belt, best man win, but it'll be a nice, I know one thing, it'll be a nice, clean match. So we're going along, we're having this great match. And then I used to do the figure 4 leg lock, and I do it by going into the spinning toe hold. JYD kicks me off, and I take a bump over the top rope to the floor. The referee starts to count me out. JYD stops him and says, oh, no, I don't want to win a match like that, not wrestling my friend. And so he says, you stop the count. He goes out to help me up off the floor. And when he gets me up, in the meantime, I've loaded the glove, and I pop him. Right. Oh, no, I'm sorry. He gets me up, and he rolls me back in the ring.
Right.
He rolls me back in the ring, and he's climbing back in the ring. And as he's climbing back in the ring, I load the glove. And when he comes to me and I turn around, I pop him. Down he goes, 1, 2, 3, and the story is now history.
Right.
We went all over Mid-South. We went everywhere. I mean, I used to have to, especially New Orleans, I had to sneak in and out of there.
Right.
I mean, people wanted to kill me. Yeah, it was really hot.
Right. I guess you talked a little bit about Bill Watts. What were your initial impressions of Bill?
Bill Watts was the Vince Lombardi of professional wrestling. I mean, you either learned a lot from Bill or you left. Right. Because Bill forced you to think, forced you to work hard, and his was he would motivate you by intimidation. Bill Watts was a bully, and he's always been a bully. Bill, if you see this, you were always a bully. But I'm telling you, he knew the business, and he learned from one of the best. Eddie Graham was, without a doubt, one of the best psychologists in the wrestling business for years and years. And but he was a bully, and he was a man. And I believe if you guys have already interviewed, I think,
Right.
Bill. I mean, I think Bill will tell you he was a man driven by money and success, and had a strong ego, overpowering ego. But the guy was good. I mean, the guy was good, but he was a slave driver. I mean, long, miserable trips, and long trips and fair money. Not until you got to be a star. But once I became one of his stars, I was treated pretty good. I've always respected Bill. Always respected his ability and his talent. I've always thought that in today, he ranks it among one of the sharpest as far as the psychology of the business, how to book wrestling, how to make this stories work.
How did his company change when it went national?
Not really a whole lot of change in that. All that was, the reason that it didn't work was it was too little, too late. By the time Bill realized what Vince was doing and that it was working,
right,
it was too late. It was already too late. Bill didn't have the connections that Vince had in New York. I mean, New York is New York. So many other things. If you want to see if something's going to make it, try it in New York. If it catches fire, it'll go everywhere. And but what amazes me is to this day, there is almost a cult following of Mid-South wrestling. I mean, I have guys come to me all the time and say, "Man, we love the UWF. We love Mid-South wrestling." And the demand for all those old tapes is huge. Yeah. My understanding across the country.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the best promotions I've ever watched.
Yeah, it was great.
What are some of your memories teaming with Steve Williams?
Dr. Death, man, I tell you what. Yeah. Well, one of the biggest jobs Bill Watts ever gave me was Steve Williams. Steve, played football and wrestled at the University of Oklahoma. And he even came he did like I did one summer, after his junior year. He came and wrestled that summer, and then he went back and played football. And then he got out and came into the business. And basically, Bill gave Steve to me and said, "I want you to groom this guy, help him learn how to work." And it's like, okay, wow. I remember having a match with Steve in Lafayette, Louisiana. And I did this deal where I had him in the corner and I was chopping him. And I got up, covered him up, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to go to turnbuckle. You reverse this turnbuckle." And I said, then get in the middle of the ring, drop it down into a 3-point stance. And as I come out of the turnbuckle, hit me with a football tackle. Well, I wanted him to hit me with a football tackle, but I could take a backdrop over the top of me. Well, he reverses the turnbuckle. He dropped down to that 3-point stance. And when I came out of the turnbuckle, he hit me and he drove me back into that corner, and he wedged me in there. My tail went all the way to the ring post. I mean, I was wedged in there like this. It's like, that's not what I wanted. I was like, I was a tag team match. I can't remember who was with me, but I tagged out. I said, "Hey, he's all yours, man." But, it was just a young guy, and he was stiff. He was stiff. But Steve came on quick.
Right.
He caught on quick, and he was real heavy at first, and then he got on a program, and he ripped down and got shredded, and he learned quick. I went from being the bad guy for all those years and turned to babyface again with Steve Williams.